Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is day 3 of our Jaded Blossom February 2023 release. Hey, so I'm using our St. Patrick's Day word dies, our rounded tag dies, our stitch square dies, and I went ahead and I stamped the image. I'm also using, what's it called here, Clover cluster stamp set, and the St. Patrick's Brewing freebie. And there's rules to get that freebie, so you want to check those out. So I did a time-lapse video here of me coloring with Copics. All the colors will be listed on my blog. What I did was I stamped this Clover cluster onto Nina Desert Storm cardstock 80 pound, and then I cut the image, or stamped it with ink on 3's blackout ink, and then I cut the image out with a 3.5 inch stitch square from Jaded Blossom. So now I am just doing some quick, simple coloring. I didn't use the dies that you can get to go along with this set. They're amazing. I just thought I would use it a different way. So you'll notice that some of these images I'm just coloring it in like a flat color because I'm planning on having my brother scan and cut these images out on the line, and I'm going to pop them up just to give you some 3D dimension. I didn't want to use a border. So that's why I just sort of color the one underneath it. So, you know, from the side, it looks okay. That's what I kind of do. So just very simple coloring. I don't go crazy. And now I went ahead and I've got a piece of paper tray ink craft cardstock, 4.25 by 8.5, and I'm scoring it at 4.25 with my Martha Stewart scoreboard and a Teflon bone folder. And I'm just going to have a vertical square card that fits in an A2 sized envelope. There you have it. All my die cutting today was done with my Gemini 2. Now I'm using Photoplay's holiday plaid paper, and I'm just using the green, right? Isn't that fun? And, you know, Christmas paper has like that. Christmas plaids have a lot of green, and that's perfect for St. Patrick's Day. So I'm just going to add that down. So I use a stitch square here. This one is 4 inches square. So I have a nice border on my card. And then this one is 3.5 inches square. So I'm going to have that stuck down with the ATG tape as well. And I run it at ATG tape. So I change my ATG gun, and then I will put it down. So I'm not a big colorist for Copics. I do my best, you know, but you don't have to be perfect with these kind of things. Okay, so I used my brother scan and cut, and I cut them right on the line of these stamped images. What I do is I take a Memento tuxedo black marker, and then I sort of color the edges. So it sort of, you know, hides the craft core and makes it look like it's perfectly cut out. Of course, because I machine did it, it is pretty darn close to being perfect. So I'm just going to add those onto this card with some dimensionals. I'll use Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, and I'm also going to use some scrapbook adhesive dimensionals. They're not quite as thick, so I'll get a little bit of movement, you know, with a different dimension going on. You'll see that I'm working on my Stampin' Up! Pad as per usual. It's kind of my jam, right? And there I go. I'm just sort of running this marker around the edges. Okay, so now I'm starting out with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, and I'm going to pop up this main image Clover. You know, just to give it some, like I said, some dimension, right? There you go. And I just think it looks so pretty. Of course, I didn't really get it exactly where I want it, so I'm going to make sure I get it where I want it. There you go. And now I'm using some scrapbook adhesives, and these are a little bit thinner. So these items will be a little bit lower than that main Clover. So I'm just going to pop all these guys up. I realized that I put a dimension, like some dimension on the wrong one. So I peel that up very carefully, and then I'm going to pop that on the lower little Clover there. And then I'm just going to keep on, you know, popping these images up. You'll notice that I did use a lot of different colors of green. I find that when you're, you know, doing, you know, some coloring like this, and you're trying to match greens, it's almost better if you have a bunch of different greens. So it kind of fools the eye. You know, even if one of them is kind of close to that green background, it's going to be a fake out, and it'll be fine. So now I'm using the St. Patrick's Day word dies, and I cut out the word shamrock. And I cut that out of American Crafts Christmas foil pad, and that's just the gold foil paper. And then I also cut it out of Nina Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock as well. And then I stuck it down in the relief cut because I find that, you know, these words, they can get stretched out of, you know, shape. And I find it easier to glue these or stack these together if one is in the relief cut. So now I am just lining it up. I'm using art glitter glue. And I will weight that down just to make sure it sticks down very well. And there you have it. Now on the inside, I'm going to add a 1-inch strip of paper from that same Photoplay Holiday Plaid pad. And it's just green and white, which is fun. See, you can see the Christmas paper on the back, right? And there you go. So it's kind of fun. Now I'm pulling out an older stamp set. This one's called Lucky Charm. There's a stamp set and then there's outline dies. So I'm going to stamp Happy St. Patrick's Day. I love the font on this one. And I'm just using a stamp positioner and VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm just going to stamp that. And then I will use the outline dies to cut that out with my Gemini machine. So you just want to line that up as well as you can. And then I always use tape, because you wouldn't want that to move after you went ahead and stamped it so nicely, right? So there you have it, and I'll run it through the machine, and then now we have a nice sentiment. So I took another one of these odds and ends from Doodlebug. That is that same Lots of Luck odds and ends set, and I'm just using this little lucky piece of ephemera there. I'm going to pop that down with some art glitter glue, and then I will overlap the sentiment with that. So it just looks like a nice little grouping on the inside, right? It has some gold foil touches, so it kind of matches the outside with that shamrock sentiment. So now I'm going to pull off, I'm using some Easy C tape there, and I'm just going to pull this out of the relief cut, and then I will stick that down onto the front of this card. And, you know, gold always goes great with St. Patrick's Day. Right? So there we go. So like I said, all the Copic colors will be listed on my blog. You know, so if you ever want to know exactly what I used, I always list everything. I don't always show you me coloring because it really does take me a while and I'm not that great at it. So, you know, it's not like I'm teaching you any tricks. All I can say is watch a lot of, you know, YouTube videos. There's so many really good Copic colorers out there that you can get some great tips from. That's what I would do. Just watch them if you want to get better. Really, it's just practice. And like I said, it's kind of not my deal. Like I never really liked coloring, to be honest, with card making, but I did get drawn into it. And now I do appreciate the look. It's kind of like gardening. I love a beautiful garden, but I don't want to do the gardening myself. I'd rather have someone else do the gardening. And then I'd say, oh, that's a nice garden. That's kind of like me with coloring. You know, I do it because, like I said, I want to have a nicely colored image. But, you know, I really do prefer die cutting and stamping. So there we have it. So I'm just going to pull off this Easy C tape now. You'll see that I did pop that up a bit with some slivers from that scrapbook adhesive. I just sort of cut little slivers. Now I'm pulling out little things from Lucy's cards. This is the soft snowball mix. So they're white little pearls. And I'm just going to add them to those little circles on the image. So you know exactly where to put embellishments, right? I think it's perfect. And I'm just going to use my Studio Katia embellishment wand to pick them up. And I'm going to add all these little white pearls to my card front, and that will give me, you know, some shine with this card. Now, I don't know, do you guys send out St. Patrick's Day cards? I never did years ago. It just wasn't a holiday that I sent out. But you know what? I love green, and I love all the super cute leprechaun images and the gnomes and all that stuff. So I have started sending them out, which is, you know, I'm not Irish, but boy, do I enjoy sending out these cards. It's just lots of fun. It's lots of fun to get them, I think. It's unexpected, right? People aren't expecting one. And it's just a fun little celebration to send a card out for, I think. There we go. I just love that cluster, that you know, Clover cluster. It kind of is reminiscent of our flower cluster that we have from Jaded Blossom. Lots of fun. So now I'm using my secure white jelly roll pen and a number 10 to add some highlights. You know, obviously not following any light source. I'm just adding a few little highlights. I think the white helps things pop a little bit. That's what I like to do. Here we go. You'll notice that that background plaid, I did line it up perfectly with, to make sure it was even all the way around. You see how the three white squares are in the corners. It just worked out perfectly. Sometimes these things just work out, right? That 3.5 or that 4-inch square was like the perfect size to cut that pattern paper out and make it look perfect for a pattern on the outline. So there you have that. So I'm just adding all of my little highlights, making sure everything looks good. And I will be moving on to the tag. There you have it. Okay, so now I have this cute little tag. You'll notice that I did some Copic coloring onto Nina Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock. So this is the freebie. Follow the rules to get it. The freebies always fit, well, not the freebies. These tag stamp sets always fit on all of our tag fronts, so that's fun. So I'm using our stitched rounded tag dies. And then you'll see these 2 plaids were also from that same Photoplay Holiday Plaid pad. So I'm just using art glitter glue and some ATG tape to stick them down. You'll notice the coloring on the flat part of this tag is very flat because I didn't really use a lot of shading because I used that in the images that I'm going to pop up over these images. Okay, so now I'm using We Are Memory Keepers black twine, and I'm just going to loop that through the hole. I just knotted it and I'll loop it through just so I have, some twine there. There we go, and I'll just cut off the top of that with a pair of scissors here. Got to clean these scissors, they're kind of gummed up from sticky stuff. There you go. Now I have this gold bow, and they were actually from my Christmas crackers at Christmas this year, and I only saved like one of them, and I kicked myself because I thought, oh, I should have saved them all. This is beautiful gold satin ribbon, but hindsight is always 20/20, right? So I'm just going to pull this down through the hole, and I will stick these little tails down with some Scotch tape. There we go. And I will trim off the ribbon below that. There you go. And now I'm using our bread tag die, and I just cut out that little rounded rectangle. I don't know, is that a square or rectangle? I guess it's a rectangle, the rounded corner rectangle out of Nina Desert Storm cardstock 80-pound. And I'm just going to put that on the back so you could write on the back of that. Now, these are all my little images. I did cut them out with my Brother Scan & Cut with a 0.4 border. And now I'm going to pop them all up. I'll have all my colors listed on my blog. You'll notice that I did use a secure white Jelly Roll pen for highlights and to color in that foam. And I'm using my, I did use Stampin' Up! Dimensional on the little mug. And then on this little Lucky horseshoe, I'm using just slivers of scrapbook adhesives. They're a little bit lower. There you go. And like I said, I cut these images out with my Brother Scan & Cut with a 0.4 border, which is always easy, right? There we go. So if you don't have a die to cut out your image, you can use your Brother Scan & Cut. Although I do like the look of die cutting because it gives you that nice rounded finished edge. And there you go. So I'm going to pop up these last 2 little 4-leaf clovers on this tag. Super cute stuff using my reverse tweezers. And then we will be pretty much done with that. There are my 2 little projects, and I think they turned out super cute. And like I said, everything will be listed on my blog. I'm going to add 2 more pearls onto this little 4-leaf clover because I thought I needed 2 more pearls. So what the heck, right? So I'm going to do that. There you go, in 2 different sizes. Because I'm kind of stuck with that. I couldn't flip over that pearl to save my life. There we go. So I'm just going to stick those down. And now I have my 2 projects finished. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, Be Inspired, the Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on some amazing products. And remember to come back tomorrow. We will be having a blog hop. Everything will be available in the store a la carte, and you can get shopping if you didn't get the Gotta Have It Now. So thank you for stopping by and watching, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.